Welcome to Wish I'd Known Them podcast. I'm Sarah Rosette.
And I'm Jamie Albright. And this week on the show we have
Jeré Anthony.
We do. It's such a great interview. Jeré, I really like her. She's such an interesting person.
Yeah, we talked to her about so many different things. Particularly, the one thing I thought that was really interesting was finding her unique voice and figuring out what her readers wanted.
Yeah, she's really done a lot of work on that and done a lot of work on herself. And she's just a cool person. I'm not cool. And I'm always
certainly
jealous.
not cool.
I'm always jealous of people who are really cool. So yeah, it was a really fun interview.
Yeah, and we talked to her about quite a few other things. She has ADHD, and we talked about the myth about how writing is easier, should get easier. And we all know that's not true. And then
the more you know, the harder it is.
Yep. And then some strategies for covers and newsletters and marketing, some more marketing focused stuff.
She writes rom-coms, but they're rom-coms with a kink. And so that's not
your typical rom-com, right?
It's not a typical rom-com. And so, yeah, she's really forged her own path, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So that's coming up. You had anything going on this week?
Oh, I'm just writing. But y'all, I listened to the intro from last week's show. I sound like I'm on my deathbed. Hello.
But you were sick.
I'm Jamie. But I mean, y'all, I really wasn't depressed or anything. I just was not feeling so great. But yeah, no, I don't really have much of anything going on except I'm writing. And they did increase my ADHD medicine. And since that happened, I am getting a lot more done, which is weird. I don't know if it's placebo or if it's really working, because
it could be, right? But if it's working, who cares?
It's working. I don't care. Yeah. So hopefully I'm hoping by Wednesday, but by the end of this week, I'll be done with this second revision, which is really still just a first draft. It's still a ways from being ready. But yeah, that's been going on. It's been going really well. I did want to mention that I had such great response about the launch workshop that I'm doing, another one October the 23rd at 6 p.m. Central Time. So this is for people who work during the day and can't, or weekends are hard. So we're going to do an evening one. And yeah, the link will be in the show notes and you can sign up if you like, or if you know somebody who it might benefit from it. I would appreciate it if you passed it on. That'd be great.
Yeah. So that's October 23rd at what time?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Okay, cool. All right.
So that
is good. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot. I've been still working on the trope book. I feel like I'm almost done. I have a couple more entries to do. Then it's just into the revising and editing and all that.
Right.
So that's been like the main focus. I've had a whole bunch of other little tiny projects going on. I want to get that done. I'm trying to focus on one thing and get that finished off, even though I have a bunch of other things going on. Last week, I talked about messaging my list and talking about faith a little bit more, and people were very responsive and kind. And that's not really that surprising. One time when I was talking to Becca, she told me that I'm probably very close to most of my readers in like somebody who writes something very different from what they normally like to read might have a harder time. But she said, you're very close. Yeah, because I enjoy the same type of books I write. It makes it a little bit easier, I think. So that was encouraging. So I'm just going to keep doing that a little bit, dropping that in every once in a while. I'm starting to think about, okay, this book is going to launch on retailers in October. And after that, I'm going to shift focus and work on the letters, launching the letters.
Yeah.
I'm already trying to figure out how to do that. And I don't want to start a whole nother list for that.
No.
I just want to keep it as simple and streamlined as I can. So I got to figure that out.
I don't blame you. I would.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of list, if anyone wants to get in on the Flow Desk deal, you can still get into that, I think, until the end of November. And I'll put the link in the show notes. If you're not happy with your newsletter service and want to check them out, I'll put a link in the show notes. And that's an affiliate link.
Yeah.
No new supporters this week, but we appreciate all our old supporters, all our know-it-alls.
Exactly. The know-it-alls.
I think everybody who listens to the podcast is actually a know-it-all, right?
Exactly. And also, if you are a vendor and you're listening and you'd like to be a sponsor, just reach out to us. We would love to have you.
Yeah. like we always say, if you found value from the podcast and it's been helpful to you and you want to return the favor, you could support the podcast, you could post a review, you could share about it. That's huge. Just letting other writers know about it. We appreciate all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, reviews are big too, and we rarely ask for them, but yeah, it would be great if you haven't left a review, if you'd leave a review for us. Also, though, I'm working at Starbucks every day, so my coffee habit is expensive, and I'm not asking you to enable me, but I'm just saying that
Just putting it out there.
just putting it out there. We should get on with the interview because it is great.
Today, we're really excited to talk to Jeré Anthony. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
We are great. We're so excited you're here.
Jeré writes high humor, high heat romantic comedies that'll have you laughing 1 second and crying the next. She isn't afraid to go there, whether it's her descriptive spicy scenes or diving into some heavier emotional topics. Her stories will take you on a wild adventure that's sure to be anything but dull. And even though she may not hold back any emotional punches, she promises to always leave you smiling and satisfied by the end.
Great bio. It sounds just like you. Yeah.
That's what I was going for. So I'm glad.
Tell us how you got into writing.
It's a long story, but to sum it up, I always had this idea that it would be so cool to be an author. I had a friend like waiting tables in college, and she had a English degree, and she would always talk about, I'm writing my book. And I just remember thinking, if she can't do it and she's qualified to do it,
Right.
I have no business even trying. So I just put it in the back of my mind. And then I worked for a nonprofit and I was put in charge of their newsletter. I worked for CASA at the time. And I was like in charge of recruitment and things like that. And so I took over the newsletter and I decided to start writing original content for the newsletter. So I would go to the adoption events and I would interview like our volunteers instead of taking the material from like national CASA. And so I started writing like personal stories and doing interviews, and I was good at it and people really loved it. And then we moved to Northwest Arkansas, where we live now. And I got a job as a writer for a really big retail place. And I wrote for their packaging. It was just like the first time like I had the title of writer. My job, even though it was just writing for the packaging, I felt, I don't know, like I was qualified to try. I just started dabbling on my lunch break, and it was just like a side project. And I fell in love with it completely. That's kind of how it started.
I love that. That's a great journey. I love CASA. They're such a great organization.
Yes.
And the thing about not being qualified, even if you've gone to school and gotten a degree in English or whatever, you still don't really feel qualified. I don't know if anybody ever feels qualified. So sometimes those little steps help you get to the point where you can dive in.
Yeah, I think just having somebody, even if it's like a teacher, tell you that you're good at this thing can change your whole trajectory of your life. Just having one person take you seriously and to speak that. So yeah, I think being qualified or feeling qualified can come from a lot of other places too.
On that note, what is your definition of success?
Okay, so it's like I can look at it in so many different ways. I think the first thing that comes to mind is like the intersection of money, the most money I can make, and the happiest I can be. Feels like that is what success is to me. But I think that success is a journey, and I think it doesn't always mean monetary. I think success is a feeling of accomplishment, a feeling of I gave it my all and I'm getting better, whatever that measurement is. If it's more sales, if it's more reviews, if it's I have more readers that reach out to me and tell me they were touched by my story, or whatever, however you're measuring it, I feel like it always comes with growth and feeling like I pushed myself past my comfort zone and I'm on the other side of that.
Great answer. What about writing and craft? What do you wish you'd known about that?
I think Becca Symes says it best, like there's no silver bullet for making this job easier. And I think it's so good to challenge yourself and to consume craft things, but I think sometimes it can be like a fire hose of information and really overwhelming. And so what I have found is that it sometimes feels like the more I learn, the slower my process is, because I feel like I have all this information in my head and I'm trying to retain it and write at the same time, and it bogs down my creativity. So I think that taking classes is fantastic. I think that going to conferences is fantastic, but I do think that you need to pace yourself as you're writing. If you're like me, maybe you don't struggle with it, and then I'm not speaking to those people, but the people that can sometimes confuse the work for like learning, like you're constantly, you feel like there's something outside of you that you're missing and you're not. And you have to start where you're at. And I think that adding in a little bit at a time is probably the best way to not feel so overwhelmed with it. I think the problem comes in when it's like my taste is here and then my ability is here, like under it. And as you learn more, I think that's what inevitably happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're right. I think you can mistake learning, especially if you're
a high learner,
high input, all those things, for productivity.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it can, if you're like me, it can stifle you. Like I've spent 2 days working on one chapter because I know what it's supposed to be like, and I'm struggling to get it to that point. And what I need to do is just move on and come back to it later, or let it be good enough and move on. And
that's hard to do.
Yeah, it's really hard to do. Really hard to do.
Yeah. What about marketing? What do you wish you'd known about marketing?
That my book is not for everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that like in early days, it's like you want to appeal to everybody, and you want to make your cover appeal to everybody, and you want your title to appeal to everybody because your book is for everybody, because it's just the best thing that's ever existed.
Right.
And the truth is that it's not. And the quicker you can just accept what makes your book unique and what makes your readers attracted to it, and you just dig into that deeper, like the better off you're going to be, because your book should be a magnet. And that goes in both ways. Like it attracts your perfect readers, but it also repels the ones that are not for you. And it gives everybody time. So I think that having your branding, your cover, your title, everything that you put out about the book specific to that, and not being afraid to like push people away. That feels scary, especially when you're starting out. But I think that, knowing what it is and what makes it different. And I think that takes time. I don't think that like new writers automatically know that.
Yeah, I know. It was very freeing when I realized that good marketing is as much about repelling the wrong people as it is about attracting the right people. And because you're right, our books aren't for everybody. They're for specific groups of people. Hopefully that specific group is large, but
I think it's the faster you accept it, you're going to, there's a lot of people in the world. Even if the group is small and it's very niche and specific, they could be the most loyal readers. I think success can come in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I think that's true, because if you have a small group, sometimes they have a harder time finding the type of book they like. And then when they find it, they're so excited. So maybe then they make up for it in their enthusiasm, which can pay off with Kickstarters and special editions and things that other people might not be interested in, but they would pay for that, or the early access or whatever.
I often think about Elizabeth Ann West in the community. She wrote for a long time, Jane Austen fanfic, basically. And talk about a small group, a small subset of people that read that. But they are so passionate. She sold her books for way more than everybody else was selling their book because she could. And so you just have to understand those people and understand what they want, and then give them what they want over and over again. What are you glad you know now?
A lot of things. I think that we are all bought into this belief that as we get better in our craft, or as we get better at whatever it is we do, it's supposed to feel easier each time. And it just doesn't. Not at all. In no way is it easy. And I think that, especially like in the spiritual community, in the woo community, you hear, do what you love and you never work a day. And you're like, it should feel easy. And if it doesn't feel easy, then it's not in alignment. And it's, but also there may be some people out there that would say, I love writing. Writing feels fun and easy and good. And I would love to get to a place where that is, I can say that's true for me. But the truth is, like, I have ADHD. So sitting down and doing something that's tedious, whether it's something I'm excited to do or not, I could love the story. I could love the character, get into it. But sitting down and doing work that is like intense focus. And I feel like writing is very unique in that not only do you have to be like locked in, but you have to almost be like a level deeper than that. And it's so hard to get to that place of concentration. And it's painful, honestly, sometimes to have to stop doing the fun thing to sit down and do the work and sit there. And I think that for a long time, I thought that something was wrong with me because of that I'm not enjoying, this isn't fun. And it's still work. And there's going to be times where I am excited to sit down. But most of the time, I think that the enjoyment comes after it's done. And I think that if I could just have, I don't know, I think I would have saved myself a lot of pain in questioning myself and doubts if I would have just accepted the fact that, no, it's just hard. It's hard. It's hard every single time. And like I said earlier, like the more you learn, the harder it is. And then because then you know like more about what's actually wrong with it.
You learn things and you're like, oh, I want to do that. I want to learn how to master that aspect of writing. Whereas before you didn't worry about that. So now you're trying to write your story and then you're trying to add layers or complexity that you didn't worry about before. It's a great career because you will never master it, but it's also, you'll never master it. So it's
yeah. So I think, knowing that it's not supposed to feel easy and then just like the accomplishment that you feel on the other side of, because it was hard, feels so much better. I don't know. That doesn't mean that your work should be miserable and you should be miserable every day. But I do think that it's like a good pain. It's like working out. It's like in the moment, it's really hard. If you were running a race or something, and then, but when you get to the finish line, you just feel so good and that you know that you gave it your all. So I wish I would have figured that.
Yeah, you're glad you know that now.
I'm glad I know that.
I've said this before, but I think about Jennifer Prost's book, Right Naked, and in there she talks about you have to be okay with that, with sitting in an empty room, like you in an empty room in your computer. You have to be okay with that. And it's not easy. And I have ADHD too. And so that is super hard for me. It's the thing I hate the most, is just having to sit and hyper focus on something like that because
it's like wrangling cats or
it's like wrangling cats.
There have been books I finished and I thought that was like wrestling a bear. I just was like, I'm so tired of it's so exhausting. What do you still need to figure out?
If I'm talking like specifically what's on my mind right now, what I need to figure out, utilizing my newsletter to the maximum, because I feel like I'm paying a lot of money to have a newsletter that I do not benefit from really. Like tactful. If I was giving specific, that's what I need to figure out. But in a more broad sense, I think I'm still figuring out my niche. I think I'm still figuring out the things that move the needle and the things that don't. And then also identifying the things that maybe don't, but they're fun and that gives you life, and making time for that, even though they don't move the needle. And I think sometimes that's hard for me too, because I know that this isn't going to like really do anything. I'm so focused on, like, I'm looking into PR boxes right now and I'm like, it's a gamble. Is this going to actually like make me money? Or is this just like I'm wasting my time? And I was talking to one of the soccer moms at a soccer game. She owns her own business and she sends out PR boxes. And she made the comment, yeah, but work is so hard. And that's the fun stuff. You have to do the fun stuff because that reminds you of why you're doing it. And if you don't do the fun stuff, then what's the point? And I was just like, what a fantastic way. And so maybe other people would say, that's not fun for me. And then I would say, don't do it. But you do need to identify the things that are fun. And I think you need to make time to do them in the right, not too much time. Like you need to prioritize
proportion.
But also don't skip on it.
That's a great answer because TikTok for me really does nothing, but I really like it. So I keep doing it.
I feel like it does something for me, but I hate it. I like to consume it.
Yeah.
But I feel and it's something like I need to just get over. But it's just, I guess it comes down to the fear of being seen, or it just in my head of, in some way, am I going to be offensive or made fun of or look stupid? And I think I'm really good about getting over that in a lot of other ways, but I do think like video content, I'm more sensitive about it.
Yeah. I get that. I don't feel that way, but I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel you.
I love that about you, Jamie. I'm so inspired by you.
Oh gosh. What is the most unhelpful advice you've ever gotten?
I think
I hope it didn't come from me or Sarah.
I don't really, I was trying to think of advice that I get. So I guess the advice is more of just what I consume, like from the pros, podcasts and from books and things like that.
Yeah.
Or conferences. But I guess and I was hesitant to say this because I know that my brain works very differently than other people. So I wanted to give the best advice for the most amount of people. But for me, I think the thought that you need to write a little bit every day is going to get you, and that makes sense logically. That does make sense. Like, even if I write 500 words every single day, then I'm going to eventually get to the end of this manuscript faster and that's just not the kind of person I am. I am so ADD or ADHD, and I hate streaks. Thank God I'm not an addict.
Yeah.
I hate the idea of a streak that I have to like do something for. It's like a rebellious thing. Like, I don't want to do it just because I'm supposed to now. It's like the pressure that I feel like if I was tracking something every single day, like I just feel like I want to break it. I don't know. My therapist and I probably need to dig into that a little bit more, but that like the thought of having to do something every day, even if it's something I want to do, makes me not want to do it.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I tried to fit into this. It's like you get the generic advice that literally does make sense on paper. That's for the neurotypical people who have they can sit down and write the book and they love it and all the things they have no mental illness. It's like those people. And that's just not the case for me. I think being okay with my chaotic process is helpful. And I think, not just trying to do things just because it's like what they say you should do.
They quotation line. Yeah. I said this morning on Clubhouse, I actually said a really bad word, but I was like, like people that can just sit down and do their stuff and go through a manuscript. I'm so jealous because it's so hard for me. Like Monday, I spent 3 hours. I revised 4 chapters. Yesterday, I sat down 3 hours. I barely got through 1 chapter. And I'm like, when you work like that, it's hard to stay on a schedule. Like,
For sure.
That's hard. And because at the end of that 3 hours, I was done. Like, I was done.
I feel like we have a very similar process, Jamie, because you're high communication, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I had seen one of Becca Syme's podcasts. Did you do a podcast with her?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I watched it and I remember that about you. And so I do think that like when you have a high communication strength, there is a need for constant input. And so when you're creating alone, I can't pay someone to follow me around, like talk to me all, because I'm also very distracted. So if there is a chance that I can get off course, and I will take it every time.
You know what's interesting? Speaking of ADHD, that I have realized, and I didn't realize it before, taking my medicine, because I've just started taking, I think back in April, I started taking medicine. If I take my medicine and I sit down to work and I don't just focus on work, if I pull my phone out or if I start looking at something else, I will hyper focus on that, not my work. Still have to put barriers and boundaries around your work, or you will start hyper focusing on the wrong thing.
That is so true. It's what does the horse wear?
Yeah, it's like those little blinders.
You have to. If I'm on a deadline and I'm like, I have to do it, my back's against the wall, like down to the wire. I'm like, I will walk, like head down to my office, take my medicine, and I always do morning pages and I'll do my journaling to get me like creatively flowing and just dump out whatever I'm dealing with. And I put my phone in the drawer and I just literally start the timer before I'm ready to get started, because if I wait until I feel like doing it, I will find something. I'll be like, I haven't painted the walls. I need to touch up. We need window treatments, and it will be the most productive thing that I actually need to do.
Yeah.
It's like when I get that, the best house projects get done.
The laundry's done, all that. Yeah. You get to catch up with everything. Yeah. What's the biggest change you've had to make in your thinking?
I feel like until I wrote Don't Call Me Daddy, I did not realize how much magic is in revision. And I think that a lot of times it's like, because I have ADHD, I don't want to sit. It is so painful for me to read over something I've already done, because when I'm done with it, I want to be done. I want to hand it to the next person and be like, okay, that never want to look at that again. That was fun. What's next? And by forcing myself to go over it over not until it was like technically done, but until like it felt the best I could make it. And I think that you can definitely get stuck into that, because I think there's a lot of people that have been writing the same book for 10 years that
or the same 20,000 words or something. Yeah.
And I do that too, but like perfection, I think I get caught up in the perfection too, but it's so funny because it's like perfection of what? If you read it, you'd be like, this is not perfect, girl. But also, I have another one. Asking for help does not, like, you don't have to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you can get a special award for coming up with everything by yourself and never asking outside input and not having a developmental editor and not, getting feedback from beta readers or anything like that. There's no medal for that. Like, in fact, it's probably, you're just going to have not as good of a book, probably, because I do think that having other eyes on a project always makes it better, because you have other people's perspectives and things like that. It's not a failure if you need help, if you want to hire a developmental editor, and then maybe they offer you a really big change, like a completely different trope that you had no idea, like that wasn't even on your radar. And then they're like, you should put this in it. And you're like, that changes the whole story. I'm going to have to rewrite it from the beginning for the 5th time. And they're like, well, and then you do it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Wish I'd have thought of that. Yeah.
I would have thought of that. Yeah. A year ago. Cool.
Besides the things you've already said, what if you were starting over today, what would you do differently?
I want to say that I would write 3 books and have them ready to go and rapid release.
Don't we all?
I want to say that, but if I'm being honest with who I am, and because I have the high communication strength, that's my number 4. I know that I need that feedback to see how it was received by people, because I feed off of that. And then it's like, I almost can't think about the next thing until I get some kind of reaction, any kind of reaction. And so like, so because of that, I would say not that, but so I guess what I would tell myself, but that's what I would tell somebody that's like normal, doesn't have the same hiccup that I have, but I guess I would say, try to simplify, because I write really chaotic stories that are extremely big, and it's just like they go in all the different directions. And so simplify the tropes and what you want to start with as much as possible, and stick to it, and just try to, I would say pick the best tropes. If I'm talking romance, okay, it's like romance specific. There are certain tropes that are more appealing to the masses. And if I was going to start over, I would pick some of those maybe as my first in series. I would write characters that are more accepted by readers for my first in series, because I think whether I like it or not, whether I agree with it or not, like a strong-willed FMC is generally not going to be everybody's favorite. As much as I want to change that. Like, I wish I could just, so being like, I would say, look at the bestsellers right now. Look at their book 1 and look at their character archetypes. Look at the tropes and pick some of those for your first in series. And then the next in series, do it a little bit the same, but also different, but also playing it safe. And then as each book in the series goes on, I would also write in a series. As each book in the series goes on, then you could take a little bit more risk of writing more unlikable characters, depending on how they're received, things like that. But I would create a strong world with a strong group of characters, making them most likable to least likable as the series goes on.
Yeah, I agree.
Very good advice. Very strategic, which is a lot of times we get swept up in I love this character, I love this story, but that's like taking a step back, which is really smart to do at the beginning of a series.
It's like, you can have that character that's so weird and quirky, but she's got to be book 4 or 5.
Yeah, she make her a side character so people can get used to her.
Yeah.
We do feed off of other people's input. I had a friend and her brother-in-law was staying with them and her husband was out of town and she had cleaned all the closets in her house. And when her brother-in-law came home, she took him to every closet to show him the closets because she wanted his feedback. Like she wanted his praise, she wanted his feedback. He didn't even live there, but she needed that. She would have taken her husband, but he wasn't there. But that's how I am with if I'm in a story and I'm talking about it, I want to tell you what I've done, and then I want to see your feedback. And if it's good feedback or your reaction, not even your feedback, your reaction. And then I know, wait, I'm on the right path. And then you keep going. But people that aren't high communication do not understand that. They think we're just wanting praise, and we're not. We just want somebody to react. We need your reaction.
Either way. Yeah. Any kind of reaction. I had to like consciously build that into my process, which I'm still learning. I feel like the process changes. But yeah, and who has time to give me the attention that I require? My husband is such a good man. This man is a saint. What we've been doing, working, is like I write a chapter and then he reads it. And then I look at him and I'm like, and sometimes I'll tell him, I want you to tell me it was so good. I don't even care what you think. I just need you.
That's where
Whatever
I'm
it
at
takes
today.
to get the book written, whatever it takes.
That's so good.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to go back to, you mentioned learning about what was unique about your books and what attracted readers. So how did you figure that out?
So it was the third book in my first series that was, I guess, like a mini breakout book for me. And I took a different direction with it. It was a risk, but I was writing like a group of friends, spicy rom-coms, and they probably had like two spicy scenes in each book. And with this book, I was very inspired by, like, all of my stories have a seed of some piece of me or an experience that I had. And that's how it's born. And I was inspired by this female character and her backstory. And I wanted to make it spicier. And it was a risk. And I was really concerned with what people would think and what my family would think and all the things. But I've been in therapy for 5 years, like every Friday, me and my therapist. Sometimes he helps me plot books if I have nothing to talk about. I'm paying you for an hour. We're going to talk about this plot hole.
Yeah.
So anyway, we had done enough work up until that point where I felt brave enough to like put it out there. And so it was a risk because it was like a BDSM rom-com. And I don't think that you see that very often. I don't think I see it very often. Who was it at RAMP? Sierra Simone gave a speech about a bespoke author. And I really identified with that. But yeah, I tried it. I put it out there. And it was I think it had a really good concept that was sticky. I was able to pitch it on TikTok and things like that and attract more people. But it was like from that. And that really changed the trajectory of my career because I had such a tremendous response in comparison to my first 2 books in the series. And I remember talking to somebody that I really respect and still work with. And I told her, and she was like, a kinky rom-com, that's a hard sell.
Yeah.
It was when we were working like the concept of Don't Call Me Daddy, my first book in my new series, that I was like struggling with that feedback because I was like, that was like my best success up until this point. And so I was trying to like water down that initial concept, even though all of my evidence suggested otherwise of what I had experienced. So it was just like taking the risk and leaning into that and then just seeing the reader response to it and being like, oh, okay, so this is obviously what they want. But then it's like with anything, like you take what worked and then you iterate a little bit more. And so then I'm like, okay, so then what could I have done better about that? As I'm launching my new series, how could I hone in on this and make it closer to what I want to write? And also, how could I make it more successful? And like I said, I struggled with initially, I wanted to water down because Don't Call Me Daddy has a daddy kink in it. He's not a single dad. If I was smart, maybe I would have made him a single dad, but I was like, no, I want it to be really just weird. And then I was really worried though, like how it was going to be received. But then I thought, I'm doing this. And then I'm like, okay, if I'm doing this, then the marketing, the branding, the title, all of it needs to be so clear of what people are getting. So they don't think they're getting a single dad romance. Like what I don't want is you to think that you're picking up something a little bit more wholesome. And so I just made the decision that if I was going to do it, I was going to go all in. And then it was going to be an experiment. And then I would learn from Pretty Please Me was the book 3 compared to Don't Call Me Daddy. I would have learned which side to lean more into. And Don't Call Me Daddy was really well received. And it blew me away, the people's response to it. And it just validated that. And then I was just like, okay, so this is not too much. And I'm not going to water it down. And that's why in my bio, I said I like to go there, because I think a lot of times when I read spicier books, they hold back it's fine, because it's probably what most people want, but not me. I want to go like a little bit further, not just in the spice, but like in the depth, in the character's pain and things like that. Like I don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, that's great. And I think I encourage everyone to go look at Jeré's books, because your covers are fantastic, but they're not what you would think about when you think about a kink book. Yeah. They're a rom-com cover, like an illustrated cover, but they are so bright and they're just great. They're really great covers. But have you found that's been hard, or you, and if not, then how have you made it work for you, I guess is the question, because you found an audience, and how did you go about doing that?
I think that the TikTok audience is generally younger, that they want illustrated covers.
Yeah.
But the truth is that I had a man chest. Okay, for the ebook, I had a man chest, and I was on the fence about it. But when Don't Call Me Daddy launched, it did terrible in comparison to later how it would do.
Yeah.
I think it only got to like the 3,000 spots on Amazon. And I just remember like launching it. I sent out a ton of arcs for that one. And so that was my strategy of like as many arcs as people want. I wanted to send like over 500. That was my goal.
Yeah.
And it was just like, because I felt almost like I was starting over.
Yeah.
Because this was just like a completely new series. And so I say that to say I had the ebook as a man chest, and I don't know that I had good enough evidence to say that it wasn't working. First 2 months after the book launched, the sales were not good. And then I just had this gut feeling. And I really try to listen to my gut, because I feel like every decision that I make that maybe feels impulsive and crazy, it comes from my gut. And I feel like the more impulsive it feels, that's the more like in alignment I actually am to what I actually want to do. So I love impulsive decisions, because they actually feel they feel the most right to me. But anyway, I had this gut pull to take the ebook cover. It's still on Goodreads. I need to switch it, but so you can see it if you look now. And so I just took the ebook cover off and just made it both the illustrated. So I say that to say I have not tested enough. And in the future, will I maybe add a man chest as the ebook? Maybe, but cover models are so expensive. With Don't Call Me Daddy, I used a stock image, and I just didn't feel like it looked like Leo. And so like maybe in the future I'll go back to that and play with it. But I like to think that I am like the rainbow bridge between rom-coms and dark romance. Most of my readers are dark romance readers. And I'm like the little palate cleanser that like you jump to in between all your heavier stuff. And so I do think that the illustrated cover portrays that. But I think that also I don't know that I've tested enough to say with certainty these are the best covers to make the most sales, to reach the most readers.
How much explanation do you give in your blurb that this is a book with kink?
The blurb, I tried to keep it pretty, because I think I had talked to somebody at InkersCon. It was one of the Amazon reps. And I was talking about not getting an Amazon. One of my ads were getting rejected for Amazon. And she looked at it and she was like, oh, you have pleasure dom in the blurb, and that's probably throwing it. And so up until that point, like nobody tells you like what are the words for Amazon that you're not allowed to use. And I wish somebody would. Maybe there is. I haven't found that resource yet. But so in the blurb, I try to keep it cute. And just like you get the idea. I want the cover to show that, and I want to use the title to show that. But then I put an author's note at the front, and it's like more like a content warning author's note. But in Don't Call Me Daddy, the author's note, I was very clear, because like I said, I was scared, and I was like, this is like a daddy brat dynamic. He calls her baby girl. She calls him daddy. If that is something that you do not like, you will not like this book. Like it is And that's what I was talking about with the repelling the wrong, repelling the wrong readers. Is that I was so afraid to say that because I'm like, I don't want to turn people away before they even try it. But I'm like, but if you know that you don't want to read that, if you know that you're not going to like it, you're not going to book. Let's just do each other time. And so because of that, I think, so the right people see it and then they're like, oh, I want to read it even harder now. I'm going to read it. That makes me want to read it even more. And then I'll also have other things that are like, she was dealing with grief. Her sister passes away and she's doing this list. And it's like, I mentioned that. So it's like content warnings, but it's also just like, hey, like this is what's inside the book. Yeah. So you know what you're getting. So
I think that's really brave though. I really think that's brave and smart to just put it out there and say, if you don't like this stuff, you're not going to like this book. Like
because I think the worst.
We can still be friends, but we're not.
Sure. I think the worst reviews that you're going to get are the people who thought they were getting something and got something else.
Yep.
I think those are going to be the worst angry reviews because they feel like in some way you swindled them, wasted their time. And so, yeah, I think just being clear about what it is from the jump is the best thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
I wanted to ask quickly about the covers. Maybe I misunderstood, but basically were you saying you could do, or you might do one cover for the print book and a different cover for the ebook?
Yeah. A lot of people are doing that in romance.
Okay.
Right now.
Not in Mysterylandia. So tell me more.
Like in mystery, I think you could apply it to every genre, but don't listen to me if I don't know.
Do a little research before you do it.
But it's like the same concept of a special edition cover.
Okay.
But like the ebook cover, I think if you were going to run, I think Skye Warren always talks about testing your covers and things like that. She's an incredible resource. She has a free newsletter that she gives advice and it's wonderful. But I think you could run like a small Facebook ad to a landing page and test 2 different covers to see which one's getting the most clicks, especially if you have an audience, like a Facebook audience that you already run ads to that's performing well. I think that would be a really good way to test it. But the thing is, it's like nobody knows what I don't even know. Like I said, I feel like I tested it and I feel like my book took off in month 3 after the release. And so I had made the illustrated cover the only one. And so I don't really know. I had made ads to both.
Yeah.
That's something I could totally do right now. But I don't know. Part of me is afraid. That's dumb. But it's like the covers, you have to get over what you think looks the best. And that's hard for me. I am very like, I want to like my own covers and prefer illustrated covers as a reader. But it would be silly to miss out on money or on sales, on reaching people because of my personal opinion.
But I think you've done it because I was at that InkersCon when you had that conversation with the Amazon rep because we talked, you and me and was it Olivia? I think we were all talking anyway because you were like, they said I should get rid of it. I don't want to get rid of it. You didn't want to, but you did. And it has worked. I think that's brave too, because doing something you really don't want to do because someone who really knows more than you has given you that advice, at least trying it I just think that's wise too. But yeah, you didn't want to let go of that. I do remember sitting there thinking, she's really attached to this.
Yeah, I think that pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, also just trying things. That's the beauty of being indie.
Yeah,
is that
absolutely.
Like you can test and you can, if it doesn't work, then you can pivot. And I think that you're doing yourself a disservice if you just stick with the one thing just because it's always worked. There's always, you don't know what you're missing out on.
Are you running ads now?
Yes.
Yeah, Facebook, Amazon.
Facebook. I have not dipped in. I may try Amazon with this release. I need to learn more about it again. I feel like
I know it's changed so much. Yeah.
It's like I need to dip my toe back into that world. But yeah, I'm doing Facebook ads. I have ads that are running for Don't Call Me Daddy. And then the new release, Don't Make Me Beg. I'm testing. I'm trying to figure out the image and the copy and then the audience and all that stuff. So hopefully I'll have it figured out by release week. And we'll see though, because I try to do something new for every release. And I just think I'm not really risk adverse. I feel like the best things that have happened in my career are from taking risks. So I try to just be open-minded and just okay with something not working.
Yeah, that's great.
We have to be that way,
Yeah.
or else we'd
Exactly.
always be stuck doing the same thing. So are you thinking about doing the PR boxes for this new release that's coming up?
Yes. And that's a whole other thing because I'm doing it by myself. I just recently hired a PA. She's been a godsend. I don't know why I waited so long. She's just changed my life and I love her so much. And I'm so grateful for her. And that goes back to you don't have to do everything by yourself. If it takes you all day to make a graphic and you're like, oh, it looks pretty good, but then someone else can do it in 5 minutes, like why would I waste my time doing that?
Yes, totally agree.
So I think PR boxes are going to be like a whole new learning curve. We will see. And I'm trying to keep the attitude of this should be fun. And if it's not fun, then why would I do it? Because I do need to go into something like that with the expectation that you either lose money or you break even.
And you're doing it more for awareness than profit. Like it's not one of those things that you can say, I ran this ad and I got this many clicks and I got this much return. You've got to be able to see the bigger picture.
For sure. It feels like gambling a lot. But I'm also going to sell them on my store to maybe recoup some of the money.
Yeah.
And so maybe it will pay for some of the ones that I give out for free.
Are you going to give those out to influencers? And
And I feel like I'm like by the seat of my pants with everything. And maybe next book, I will have a process figured out. But this is the first time I've ever done this.
Sure.
And I had reached out to a PR company and they were like, we want to help you, but we're full. And I'm like, it happens when you wait until the last minute to get your ducks in a row.
I don't even know how many ducks I have.
Yeah. Like where are the ducks? I don't even
Trying
know.
to get them in a row and they're just we're all over the place. So, when is the book launch? Is it soon or?
Yeah, it's next week.
Next week.
Totally fine.
But you could do the boxes as like the book is out now. You can get it now.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a pre-sale. I was sending all my art that I'm having commissioned because I just keep buying art. I don't know what I'm doing. I literally don't. And it's just, you just have to fail forward, right? It's just, anyway, I was sending all the art to one of my author friends and she was like, oh, is this for like your pre-order campaign? And I was like, no, that would have been smart though. Like,
what a good idea.
Make a note for next time.
And so next time, that's all you can do. It's like I'm collecting evidence. I'm collecting all of this information. And so then I know for next time. And then I'm going to look up after I get lost in the book. And then I'm going to be like, the world has changed and the climate and everything has changed and it's a new game.
But you kind of have to do that every time anyway, just to see where things are. So I think that's pretty common.
Have fun with it because otherwise you're going to cry.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think the best thing you've done to set yourself up for success has been?
I definitely am a proponent of therapy. As I said earlier, I think that everybody has something, like we all have baggage, we all have things, fear of being seen, fear of being, putting your work out there is incredibly hard. And especially when you feel so attached to it. And it is interesting how as time goes by, you detach from your earlier work and you're able to be more critical toward it. Yeah. And I think definitely trying new things and not being afraid to take risks. So I try to challenge myself with every launch to do something different. I don't want to be the person who's this is the way we've always done it. And so we just, because like I said, you could be missing out on so many things and so even if it doesn't feel comfortable to put yourself there. And so those risks can be monetary. They can just be like posting a video of yourself or just trying something new each time. I think it's going to give you more evidence and information to work with to move forward to be stronger. So I think that, and then just like having a attitude that knowing that you're going to get kicked down and like staying down is the choice that you have to make. Yeah. And I think because it's inevitable. There's going to be a review. There's going to be something. There's going to be a really mean developmental editor that you hired that is so rude to you, makes you want to quit. And then you have to take a month to recover from that. And then you have to decide, is she right? Yeah. Am I going to let her be right? Or am I going to get up and dust myself off and keep going? And I think that the people that make it in this career are just, it's almost like running. It's like, you just don't give up. It's like anybody can be a long distance runner if you showed up. Like you don't even have to try super hard. But if you just consistently showed up every single day, you're going to improve and you're going to. And so I think I don't think that I am more talented or smarter than anybody else. I think that I have an attitude that is like that I'm not going to give up. And I think that my success is inevitable because of that. And so it's not my business when it happens. It's not my business like how long it takes. It's just showing up every single day or when I'm writing, because I don't write every single
Yeah, we don't write every day. Don't have to.
No
Don't have
pressure
to.
there.
Yeah.
showing up and just not giving up
Yeah.
when it's hard.
I think that's well
Or
said.
your sister dies and you think, I don't think I want to do this. What's the point of doing this? The thing that I've noticed about people, myself included, that don't give up is we don't even have that in us. Like I have said over the last 3 years, I think I'm done. I think I'm done. I've told Sarah, I think I'm done. I think I'm just done with this. But there's just something in me
You
that
just can't do it.
won't let me quit. Maybe I should. But there's just something that won't let me. So
Yeah. Like, where's the thing coming from? The drive to keep going. I think, don't get me wrong, I'm going to wallow.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to complain about it and whine
Every step of the way.
every step of the way. I'm not quick about it at all, like my misery. But yeah, it's eventually you just have to be like, okay, and now I have to put my big girl pants back on and do the work.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a great answer. Thank you for being here. This has been so fun.
Yes.
I am so happy that y'all asked me. I'm so flattered.
We've had a great time talking to you.
Yeah,
And I think
we
it's
really
going to be
have.
really helpful. We got some great ideas and things to think about. So tell everybody where they can find out more about you and your books.
My website is my name, Jeré Anthony. It's Jeré, like hooray with a J. That's how you say it. JeréAnthony.com. And I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm mainly as a consumer. Yeah, but I am there. Yeah, you can email me. My email is Jeré@JeréAnthony.com. Super easy. Yeah, and I'm around. I'm chronically online, so I'm really right there. Yeah, that's how you can reach me, and I'm happy to chat always.
Perfect.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, we will have those links in the show notes. Thanks for listening today. And if the podcast has been helpful or you've gotten value from it and would like to return the favor to us, you can go to wishidknownforwriters.com/support and you can find the support stuff there. And the show notes will also be at wishidknownforwriters.com. And we will see everybody next week. Bye.
Bye.
Hey.